The woman's time has expired. All time for general debate has expired. In lieu of the amendment recommended by the Committee on Science and Technology, the amendment in the nature of a substitute recommended by the Committee on Small Business printed in the bill shall be considered as the original bill for purpose of amendment under the 5-minute rule and shall be considered as read. No amendment to the committee amendment is in order except those printed in House Report 111-192. Each amendment may be offered only in the order printed in the report by a member designated in the report, shall be considered read, shall be debatable for the time specified in the report, equally divided and controlled by the proponent and an opponent, shall not be subject to amendment, and shall not be subject to a demand for division of the question. The proponent of such amendment may modify its amendatory instructions before the question is put thereon. It's now in order to consider Amendment Number 1, printed in House Report 111-192. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from New York rise?
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to the rule, I send to the desk a modification of Amendment Number 1.
Clerk will designate the amendment. Will the gentlewoman first offer the amendment?
I have an amendment at the desk, Mr. Chairman.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment Number 1, printed in House Report Number 111-192, offered by Ms. Velasquez of New York.
Pursuant to House Resolution 610, the gentlewoman from New York, Mrs. Velasquez, and a member opposed, each will control 15 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from New York.
Pursuant to the rule, I send to the desk a modification of Amendment Number 1.
The clerk will report the modification.
Modification to Amendment Number 1, printed in House Report Number 111-192, offered by Ms. Velasquez of New York. The fourth amendatory instruction on page 4 is amended by striking line 16 and inserting line 15.
Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to suspend the reading.
Without objection, the amendment is modified. The gentlewoman from New York.
Mr. Chairman, the manager's amendment makes technical and conforming changes to the underlying legislation. It also incorporates several important amendments offered by members. I would like to thank this member for their contributions: Mr. Barrow, Mr. Boren, Mr. Boswell, Ms. Sutton, Mr. Cardoza, Mr. Childers, Ms. Dolkemper, Ms. Kirkpatrick, Ms. Mr. Cradlebill, Ms. Markey, Mr. McNerney, Ms. McCollum, and Mr. Perlmutter. Because of their contributions, we have a stronger bill before us today. The provisions that are included in the manager's amendment will bolster what we are doing to help veteran small businesses. As a new generation of veterans return home from the current conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, many of them will be seeking opportunities in entrepreneurship. Veterans are often well-suited to the small business owners. The manager's amendment will also enhance our outreach to women and minority-owned businesses. Diversity has always been our nation's greatest strength. By expanding the diversity of the firms that compete for SBIR grants, we will strengthen the overall SBIR program. The same can be said about the provisions in the manager's amendment that will encourage greater participation by rural businesses. Drawing these companies into the program will mean more ideas and better ideas. In addition to encouraging greater diversity among participating firms, the manager's amendment targets SBIR and STTR grants toward a number of pressing problems where innovation and research are badly needed. For instance, language in the amendment clarifies that the program should make renewable energy a priority. Small businesses are already leading the way in constructing a green economy, and this provision will build on that success. Lastly, the manager's amendment improves oversight. The 111th Congress has made oversight one of our top priorities to ensure that taxpayers' dollars are spent wisely and well. This amendment continues that effort, SBIR and STTR are two of our nation's most successful programs. It is our goal to ensure they continue functioning smoothly and effectively. Mr. Chairman, I strongly encourage my colleagues to support this amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Missouri rise?
Mr. Chairman, I rise to claim time in opposition to the gentlelady's amendment.
The gentleman's recognized for 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to claim time in opposition to the amendment, even though I do not oppose the amendment. The gentlelady's amendment makes some needed technical changes to the bill. In addition, the amendment incorporates some suggestions from other House members that will enhance the operations of the SBIR and STTR programs. I thank the chairwoman for her thoughtful consideration and development of this amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back the balance of his time. Gentlewoman from New York.
Mr. Chairman, I yield to the gentlelady from Pennsylvania, Ms. Dahlkemper, 3 minutes.
Gentlewoman from Pennsylvania is recognized for 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank Chairwoman Velazquez and the Ranking Member Graves for their leadership in bringing this legislation forward. And I rise today in strong support of the manager's amendment to H.R. 2965. The manager's amendment makes a number of very good changes to the base bill, including my amendment on water conservation technology. My amendment would improve the efficiency of water delivery systems and usage patterns in the United States by including this as a topic for one of the Small Business Innovation Research solicitations. Water scarcity is a growing concern throughout the United States. Multi-year droughts continue to plague regions and states around the country, including the Southeast, Texas, and California. For many municipalities, intense competition for water and diminished supplies will force local water agencies to make difficult decisions on water allocations to protect essential ecosystem services. This includes implementing tough restrictions that could harm our agriculture industry while diminishing economic growth and job creation. Mr. Speaker, in order for our country to achieve a more sustainable future for our children, we must act now to conserve one of our most precious resources, our water supply. By improving the technology of our water delivery systems, we can maximize our limited water resources and reduce our energy use. Again, I thank the chairwoman for including this in her amendment, and I urge my colleagues to join me in support of this amendment's adoption. I yield back.
Gentlewoman from New York.
Mr. Chairman, I yield to the gentleman from Iowa, Mr. Boswell, 2 minutes.
The gentleman from Iowa is recognized for 2 minutes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Madam Chairman, for allowing me to share this moment. I do ask that unanimous consent revise and extend. I rise to support the legislation and the manager's amendment because the Enhancing Small Business Research Innovation Act holds great promise for our nation's most innovative minds and creative entrepreneurs. In particular, I'd like to thank the chairwoman for including in the manager's amendment language that will give priority for SBIR and STTR grants to applicants in areas that have suffered the loss of a major source of employment. Having worked with Congressman Sutton to pass these provisions, the 2008 reauthorization was considered by the full House. I know that both of us are very pleased this language has made its way to the floor again this year. Almost 2 years ago, Maytag Corporation in Newton, Iowa, a town of 15,500 people, manufactured its last machine after being purchased by its larger competitor, losing more than 2,000 good-paying family jobs. Since then, this town has worked hard to rebuild itself, create jobs for the people of Newton and its surrounding communities. Unfortunately, though, similar stories still devastate towns in my district, my state, and our country, and yours as well. Local shops are closing their doors, factories are being put out, and too many hard-working Americans have lost their jobs. This bill will bring new jobs to towns whose car dealership has been forced to close doors on its consumers and its employees. It will provide employment for those individuals who worked on the assembly line 50 miles down the road welding the frames. The ongoing effects of bankrupt companies and lost liquidity are placing damaging effects on workers in all districts, on people who found pride in their jobs and now just want to provide for the family. By enhancing and reauthorizing the SBIR and STTR program, we will put moms and dads back to work so they can put food on the table and pay the bills. College students graduated with debt will have increased opportunity for their communities, and we will tap into some of the most industrious and ambitious minds in America. By passing this legislation today, we will empower our districts and provide our constituents with resources they need to rebuild their communities. And I urge my colleagues to support this underlying bill and the manager's amendment. I yield back my time. Thank you.